ancient times, man has felt the need to communicate, or better to share thoughts, concepts, opinions, experiences and feelings with others. This communication was born firstly in gestural form. Then it was made easier through the combination of sound and gestures, until the invention of writing to record information. Depending on the geographical place of origin, all people possessed and still possesses their own linguistic code. In fact, the number of languages that were and are still spoken in the world range from 6,000 to 7,000. To ensure that communication is established even with users of different languages, it is necessary for someone or something to reproduce the message so it is understood by the recipient. Thus, translation was born from the spontaneous need to facilitate relations between people belonging to different places, cultures, and linguistic codes. It is the act of interpreting the meaning of a text, called prototext, and the consequent production of a new text, which is as faithful as possible to the source in a different language, called metatext. However, a translation is always conditioned by the historical moment, the taste, the sensibility, the intelligence, and the culture of the translator. In fact, it is the result of purely subjective and personal work. In this regard, it is important to analyze the figure of the translator, which is a man or a woman that translates a text from one language to another, by ensuring that the correct meaning of the source text is maintained. Translating well does not mean to mechanically transfer the exact meaning of every word, but to respect its sense and maintain its essence, although these can often lead to linguistic losses, purchases, or alterations. A good translator, therefore, must be able to adapt his or her translation to the context where it operates. There are no rules, or rather, he or she does not have to follow those exclusively. The translator, thanks to his or her experience and personal tastes, chooses the most appropriate and correct way to translate. For this reason, there is never only one correct translation of any given text. Any number of different versions can render the original text appropriately. Translation, given its usefulness, is located within the professional market, as it is a service in great demand and sometimes not an option but absolutely necessary. At a time when globalization reigns supreme, the market is widely competitive and the competition is cutthroat, it may be so difficult for companies to emerge. To conquer the international market and beat the competition, therefore, they must enter to all effects the alien world that is their objective. To do this, they have to understand the culture and traditions, and interpret the needs, desires, and, why not, any weaknesses. Therefore, the key word is understanding. There is no trade without demand, and there is no demand without knowledge. This is where localization comes into play, a fundamental strategy for these companies, as it allows them to promote their products correctly, eliminating communication barriers and reducing possible future difficulties. Localization is a particular type of translation, more complete and more personalized than others. That is not limited simply to the transposition of the meaning of words, but which integrates the cultural context in order to fully adapt a product or service to a specific area. It mainly uses the IT tools and the web, as today they are the easiest and the most effective way to become known, an indisputable prerogative of this translation process. To place a product in a specific area or market, businesses resort to the so-called chameleon technique. The foreign product is marketed with a local semblance. For this reason, this process requires an accurate study of the extraneous culture. This kind of translator must ensure the good image of a product and a brand, taking into account the cultural differences in order to adapt it perfectly to the new potential consumers. Undoubtedly, localization is a cultural added value for businesses seeking to establish themselves on the international market and beat the competition. After all, this is an indispensable condition, because in today's world, to stand out from the crowd, we have to emerge, to become known, and above all, to continually reinvent yourself.